What's up guys, Spin Firearms here, and today we're going to be comparing 3 different handguns that are awesome for concealed carry. And you guys, I have nothing that I can gain from anything, so these are just my personal opinions. This is just based off what I like, what I shoot the best, what I carry, but most importantly, what I truly trust my life with. And these 3 also have something in common. This is the P365. As you can see, there's some stuff that's been done to it. Springfield Armory Hellcat original. As you can see, some stuff's been done to it. I cannot say the B word, and we know what the B word is. B-U-I-L-D, right? Otherwise, it'll be demonetized, and YouTube likes to do that to my videos. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of my videos that I make are demonetized, and I'm making nothing from them. It sucks, but it's just part of the game, I guess. But Glock 43X, last but not least. Now, the Glock 43X is a single stack, so it's a little different than these handguns. Has less capacity for its grip size, but it also has a lot going for it that can sort of mitigate the capacity factor to it. Let's get into it. This right here is a Sig P365, and I've gotten a lot of crap for the manual safety. If it's cheaper and has a manual safety on it, and it's a stiff safety, then there's nothing wrong with it. You just don't touch it, and you got a handgun for cheaper. So when you see a manual safety on some of my handguns, that means the price was cheaper for the manual safety than without. So that's why I went with that. But from Combat Armory, I got myself a different Wilson Combat Grip module because I like a little bit thicker handguns. And then also I got the matching base plate. So that, ergonomically wise and texturing, feels really good in the hand. Now on top of that, I added the Safari Precision threaded barrel just to pull it off a little bit, just to add some character to it, give it a little bit longer of a barrel, but also make it look nice still. And I also have a Combat Armory trigger that's going to match that barrel and pull this build off absolutely perfect. I just haven't gotten around to it. And if you want to order stuff off Combat Armory, you can use code SPN for 5% off your order. Helps the channel, and it'll help you get an awesome setup like this for cheaper. Things I like about the P365. It's one of the softer shooting micro 9s out there. With this grip module, it has an awesome beaver tail on it, really locking your hand in there and your grip in there and allowing your hand to be really, really high on that handgun. The trigger's good on it. I did have reliability issues with my Sig P365, but I'm hoping those are in the past. After I took it to my local gunsmith, and he fixed it, took care of the springs that were out of spec, it's been good so far. Ran reliably. Also, that is a Tyrant mag release, and it works amazing. I absolutely love it. One thing I don't like about the P365 is sometimes it feels a little awkward in my hand, but also right here, when you're trying to fight recoil, your thumb sort of just slides through that rail. Now, there are some grip modules out there that don't have that, and they actually have some memory pads or some traction or some friction right there, which is nice. This does not. But it is a softer shooting micro 9, so it handles recoil really well. Therefore, you don't necessarily need it. And so far, since this has been put together like this, it's ran reliably, ran hollow points, and I really don't have any complaints. I do want to get rid of the slide, though. I don't like the Sig's finish on their slides, their barrels, or their sights. I can just see rust in the future. So I know people who've had rusting issues on their P365s and their P320s, and I don't think if you're paying $350, $400, $500, $600 and above, anything above $350, you shouldn't be having rust issues. You shouldn't have rust issues to begin with, but I get that sometimes for a budget firearm you do have to, cut some corners somewhere, and instead of cutting corners with reliability, you just put a worse finish on it. So sometimes that makes sense, but when you're paying $500 or $600 for a handgun, it should not rust at all. So I will be swapping out that slide. But so far, Combat Armory's got my build looking awesome. They're the place to go if you need parts for your Sig. Next up is going to be my Hellcat build. And I went with all Tyrant CNC parts for it. Reason for that is I have some Tyrant parts on Glocks, and I just think they look really nice. But the main reason I went with them is all their colors match. The thing about some of these companies is they put out some parts, but not the other parts. So in order to get a matching combination, you have to go get parts from another company and then this company. And then you get them in the mail, and you're like, wait, it's just a little off. The shade is just a different color. And therefore, you end up not getting the build that you thought you were getting. And I've had that happen, and it's sort of devastating. But when you buy all from one company, everything matches perfectly. So I upgraded the takedown lever. They didn't have red at the time, so it went black. Red back plate just to go with the theme. Got the handle that shares grips with the Hellcat logo in red to match the rest of the build. Mag release is red, and that trigger. And we're going to touch on all these triggers in a second, but I absolutely love this trigger for the Hellcat. It's one of my favorite triggers for the Hellcat, and Tyrant actually has a trigger coming out for the P365, and it has a trigger safety. So what's crazy about that is none of your SIGs have trigger blade safeties or dingus safeties. But Tyrant actually engineered one for the P365, and I should be getting it soon. I ordered it recently, so can't wait till that thing comes in. But 100% reliable, even with these aftermarket parts. This is just a trigger shoe, so it doesn't affect your trigger bar or any other internals. None of these are anything that will really cause your firearm to be unreliable. That's absolutely why I love them, and it just runs flawlessly. Looks awesome as well. And last but not least, my Glock 43X build. This right here, shield arms mag catch, because at the range, I rarely carry my 43X, but when I do, I carry it with OEM mags, but when I'm at the range, I want more capacity, so I go with PSA dagger mags or shield arms mags. Then a Kaplan manufacturing slide, and man, is that thing flawless. Beautiful design, beautiful texturing on it, very easy to rack the slide. If you want it to be ported, you can have it ported by buying a ported barrel. I don't want it to be ported. I like it as is. Windows to make it a little bit lighter. And then I have Meeperlite True Dot sights. They're some of the best night sights out there. Check out Meeperlite. They have really high-tech sights and really high-tech stuff. Hornet Precision backplate. Just something to add a little look to it. Oh yeah, and one of my favorite parts about this whole handgun is that Invoke slide stop. I love how it sits very far in. It's very hard to accidentally hit, but at the same time, as you can see based off the pattern and texturing, very easy to lock that slide back. And I know a lot of people release their slide using their slide stop. I just slingshot it, but a lot of people use that, so there's a awesome amount of leverage you get on that for releasing that slide, so that's great. And then I have the Sealy Cat X Pro, which is one of my favorite carry optics out there. Very small, an awesome dot, very reliable, and it's actually a hash mark, hash mark, hash mark, hash mark, circle with a dot in the middle. The camera just drowns out that dot. So absolutely love this thing. Now, let's go ahead real quick, make sure they're all clear, and then we'll go over their triggers, because the triggers are something I wanted to touch on, right? They're all cleared and safety checked prior to videos, but you know how YouTube is. Let's go through their triggers. This is the Sig P365 trigger. Very crisp, very clean, no over travel, nothing. Very audible reset, very tactile. Here's the Hellcat trigger. This is that Tyrant CNC trigger, and it's genius. Instead of using roll pins, they use these little hex pins. So you just use a little Allen wrench to tighten this. Therefore, you're not banging on it or possibly messing up your overall trigger bar. You're just tightening it just enough to be on there perfectly, and I absolutely love that. But anyways, great trigger for everyday carry. I think the Hellcat trigger out of all these is my favorite. It's not the greatest trigger in the world from the factory, but with this trigger shoe on there, it is crisp, it's clean, and a little bit lighter. It just overall cleans up the trigger a little bit. And this right here is just a stock Glock trigger, but it does have a Ghost 3.5 connector. But just because it's a 3.5 connector doesn't mean it's going to be a 3.5 pound trigger pull. You would have to change out other springs. So it's about 4.5, 5 pounds, but very clean and crisp. And I think that the Glock 43, 43X, 42, and 48 have the best triggers out of any Glocks. It's very crisp, very clean, very shootable. They're all awesome choices. They're all great handguns. I have zero complaints about any of them. But if I had to rank them, personally, I'm going Hellcat, because this thing is just one of my most reliable handguns I've ever owned. All my Hellcats have been flawless. Then I'm going to go Glock 43X, and then I'm going to go my Sig P365. But just keep in mind, my Sig P365 is not finished yet. Got more work to do on it. You guys wanted to see a build, so I'm going to actually complete the build and finish it and do more to it. So, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching.